Today I'm going to do some holiday baking and I'm going to make persimmon bread. And this recipe is so yummy, you guys. And it's the only thing that I use persimmons for. I've tried making persimmon cookies and different things like that, and I just don't really care for it. But the persimmon bread is to die for. I got this recipe from my mom. She went to a dinner party and got it from James Beard, that real famous chef. He's like the counterpart to Julia Childs. In fact, a lot of times they give the James Beard Award to chefs that are just on top of their game, kind of like the Olympics of chefs, I guess. But my mom got invited to this dinner party because my aunt, her sister, who lived across the street from us, worked for a neurosurgeon in town, Dr. Hubbard. And he loved like cooking gourmet dinners and having dinner parties and that kind of thing. And he had invited my aunt and uncle to come to one of his dinner parties. And something happened, I can't really remember, but for some reason my uncle couldn't attend. So my aunt asked Dr. Hubbard if my mom could come instead of him. And my mom knew Dr. Hubbard because she worked as a surgical intensive care nurse and took care of all his patients. So he's like, oh yeah, you know, and the two of them together is like Lucy and Ethel. They are hilarious. They're like Frit and Frat, lots of fun. The life of the party. And so he thought it was a great idea. So they went to his dinner party, and who was there but James Beard? And he prepared his persimmon bread. And my mom wrote down the recipe. It was kind of like a dinner party where you kind of cook stuff and everything like that. Everybody was in the kitchen cooking. It was really neat. And she wrote down the recipe. Now, I've looked at James Beard's published persimmon bread recipe, and this is just a little tad different. And I've made both of them. This version is so good. You have to try it. Okay, let me show you how to make the James Beard unpublished persimmon bread Christmas recipe. The ingredients you will need is 3 cups of sugar, and that's the correct amount. That's why I only make it at the holidays. You'll need 3 cups of flour. You'll need 2 teaspoons of baking soda, 4 eggs, 1 teaspoon of ground nutmeg, 1 teaspoon of ground cinnamon, 1.5 teaspoons of salt, 1 cup of canola oil or some type of neutral oil, 1 cup of persimmon puree. And I just peel the persimmons. It takes about 2 persimmons to make a cup, and then just blitz them in your food processor. 1 cup of chopped walnuts and 2/3 cup of water. I'm going to mix the persimmon puree into the water. I went ahead and sprayed these mini tins with cooking spray and dusted them with flour. To the sugar, I'm going to add the eggs, and we're going to get these mixed together. Next, we're going to add the cinnamon, nutmeg, and salt. Along with the oil. Get this mixed together. Next, we're going to add the water and the persimmon pulp. Then I'm going to slowly start adding some of the flour and getting it mixed in. Going to get the last of the flour in there, and then the baking soda. Get this mixed, and then just finally fold in your chopped nuts. And then finally, we're just going to start filling these loaf pans. I filled all of the pans about 70% full, and it's important that you don't overfill the pans because it'll overflow. And I had a little bit of batter left, so I went ahead and I filled a couple of ramekins. I'm going to put this into a 350-degree oven for about 50 to 60 minutes, but I am going to check about at the 40-minute mark to see if the ramekins are finished baking. I cooked the ramekins for about 45 minutes and the loaf pans for about 50 minutes. I have them on a rack and I'm going to let them cool for a little bit before I turn them out. Now that these have completely cooled, I'm going to wrap the loaves in saran wrap and then put them in a freezer Ziploc bag, and these freeze beautifully. I'm going to try to get another 1 or 2 batches done today. These little ones, I'm going to leave them out so the boys can sample on them. They're going to love that. This doesn't look like it would be that great of a recipe, but I'm telling you, this is a keeper. It's a 5-star recipe, and it'll just rip your face right off. All right, guys. Happy Vlogmas.